It is. You know, there's a bit of a misconception, though, about closure, and I'm sure the CEO must have meant well, but there is no such thing for families. In fact, families have told me many times that that's a word that they actually don't like. They never get closure. What they learn to do over time, and it takes a long time, but what they learn to do is they live with the difference. All of a sudden, they're not the family they were. Now they're a family who's lost loved ones in an air crash, and that's an identity that stays with them for life. So they say they never come to closure. They just learn to live with their new life. And so I never use that word, but that being, put that aside for a moment, having their loved ones back, anything. I mean, I have families that have gotten nothing more than a very small fragment of a bone or even a handbag that might have been found later. Those things become so very, very valuable because it's a connection with their loved one in their last moments on this earth.
Mm-hmm. I don't know if they're thinking about this now, but do they have any legal recourse?
They have legal recourse, but I have to say, and it's terrible for a lawyer to have to say this, aviation law internationally, the world's body of aviation law is very antiquated because the aviation laws are based on your country's law and a various handful of countries' law. In any crash, you can apply, you know, the law where you bought the ticket, where you're going, or where you're from. But the law around the globe is a patchwork. Some countries have still cling to an old treaty called the Warsaw Treaty. It's decades old. It provides very little rights and little compensation. Others have signed the Montreal Accords. Passengers seated side by side, you know, if they were identical in all aspects of their life, but one was from one country and one was from another, one might have a full plate full of rights and full compensation. The other might have almost nothing. And aviation, by definition and by intention, doesn't respect national boundaries, and yet people are forced into these artificial categories of whose law applies. We really need to develop a more international basis for recompense for families of aircraft.